Hey everybody, it's Dr. Schulman, and we're going over the grading policy choice for this assessment. You can't think about assessments without grading, and really coming up with your plan for how you're going to grade everything, I think is really useful and important. So here we jump into it. I'm going to share my screen and explain how this optional assignment will work. So I'm going to go into modules, and we are in the grading policy one. So this is important, right? So grading is really important. So as an educator, assigning grades can be seen as arduous or a tedious process. Large amount of tickets, tests, and homeworks create untenable piles that lie in baskets and on desks, mocking you with their sheer existence. I've been there. I've been surrounded by papers before. While going through one by one, your personal biases and preferences for specific causes students can cause lapses of judgment. In addition, your supervisor or department may impose strict guidelines of the schedule and the amount of grades needed to be entered or posted. Mine was I needed at least 2 grades a week and have them posted. Parents always freak out when they get grades, especially in the math. So while all of these challenges can create negative connotations about the process, grading can be very informative, right? So we aren't able to determine how much your students learned and mastered each points, and they get feedback on their growth and challenges. So ascertaining high marks can provide a sense of pride for students and open the doors to honors or AP classes and put them on educational tracks. So this is just a way to create this, and you got to use 2 journals to do it. So this is what you have to come up with. So it's just everything about your grading policy. So what do you believe the purpose for grading for students? Is it just to hold them accountable? Or will you grade your students based on mastery of standards, comparison with the classes, on growth, or some combination of the three? So this is a big idea. Like, are you going to be curving stuff? Are you going to do this just based on how well they got the standards? Are you going to compare them? So the comparison is like curving. Growth is just from themselves forward, or are you just going to grade them on the standards? What's your plan? And explain your reasoning. Do you believe the final grades are assigned of learning the material or not? Is there something else, right? Did they just cheat? Is there, even though they're a good test taker, did they really learn it? How do you know? Do you plan to provide individual feedback to students at the end of the course? Holding a one-on-one discussions, why or why not? So this was probably the biggest thing that I've done. Every student from me, they got this really long piece of paper, this like kind of letter that said everything about them that was good, the stuff that they needed improvement on. And I just put this all right on their report card. Everybody's just like, pleasure to have in class, just click them. And I would give them a full paragraph, at least everything about them. And a lot of students would tell me that was like the best feedback that they've gotten. They wish other teachers would do it. I would also hold one-on-one meetings with my students before final grades were due. So I would take the last week while everybody's either preparing for the final or the test. I'd meet with each student one by one. I don't care if it took 3 class days, and we'd go over what their grade was, how to get it higher before the end, and if they had questions for me. All right, let's keep it going. So now you pick a specific course that you're currently teaching or plan to teach in the future. State the name and grade of the course. Design the overarching grading system for the school, the quarter. So how are they going to get their grades, numbers, percentages, letters? So you got to design it. Use the grade scale based on a school or design your own to determine how much each section is worth. So you have to create it. I did it for this course. So how much are the tickets worth? How much are the assignments worth? How much is the projects worth? What percentage is homework? Are you grading for participation? All right, for each sections you created, describe your system for grading each element. So doesn't matter how you set this up, but you have to give a full reasoning for how you're going to grade it. If you've got tests, formative homework, participation, however you've done it, what are they worth? What's the time frame for grading it? When they're getting it back? Is there a rubric? Is there going to be exemplary responses for them to see? You have to really think through exactly how you're going to do everything. Same thing for your summative grades. So this is in the moment grades or daily grades. This is for a week or a unit. This is if there's homework, and this is if there's participation. You got to do something for each of them. Will be the breakdown of the semester grades? Are you going to do this quarter, semester? Will there be a final exam or project that impacts it? So if you're going to have a big end of the unit test, if so, what's its percentage? Will you be providing citizenship grades? So how are they going to look? Are they going to be involved? So you're going to have outstanding, satisfactory, needs improvement for citizenship. How often are you going to give the grades? And if you're going to post or share them. And this last piece is really important. How are you going to limit your bias or preferences? So design one rubric for any sort of thing. So any one of these above, you got to make at least one rubric. How can you limit the biases? You got to create an exemplary response for any type of question. So you actually show me like, you're going to give them, and what do I mean by exemplary response? Like a perfect grade or a perfect response. Explain how sharing this response can potentially limit your bias. Describe, because a lot of people make work and they don't actually do it themselves. So they don't know like what it should look like because they've never actually done it. So this forces you, the exemplary response forces you to actually do one of the assignments from top to bottom and show how it's going to be perfectly. Will you let students say this issue in your work? If so, how you train them and assume they're not letting bias affect their grading? All my student aides, I had at least 2 per class. They graded everything for me, and I would spot check and make sure they weren't biases and things like that. And would you consider sharing grading of your work with other teachers of the same content area? So if you're a bunch of math teachers, are you all going to grade together? Are you going to share how you grade? Then you reflect on the assignment. So it's what I put together for a grading policy. Try your best on it. I think it's really useful. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out.